Good morning. My name is Dr. Veena Bharti. I am Associate Professor in RKGIT College at Computer Science Department. Today, I am going to tell about the subject Discrete Structure and Theory of Logics. And my topic covered is graph theory. So, what is about graph? A graph G is a mathematical structure consisting of two sets V and E, where V is called the vertices, that is the non-empty set of vertices, and E is a non-empty set of edges. So in this case here, the diagram shows here V1 and V2 are two vertices and E1 is the edge which is joining the vertices. And in this way, the graph is shown. So the basic terminology for graph is, first one is the trivial graph. So a trivial graph is a graph that consists of only one vertex and no edge. This is the example shown here. The dot represent the vertex. So this is the trivial graph. Second one is the null graph. Null graph is a graph that consists of n vertices and no edges. The graph shows here null graph. And the third one is the directed graph. A graph consists of the direction of edges. That means if there is an edge and the direction is shown for the edge, so that is called the directed graph. Then undirected graph, a graph which is not directed. That means if there is no direction given, then that is called the undirected graph. Then self loop in a graph. Self loop. If the edge having the same vertex as both its end, that is end vertices are same, then that graph is called the self loop. In this case, in this example, here V1 is the vertex and E1 is the edge that is starting from the vertex V1 and end with at the same vertex V1. So this is called the self loop. Then the proper edge. An edge which is not self loop is called the proper edge. That means the graph which does not contain any self loop is called the proper edge. Multi-edge, a collection of two or more edges having identically endpoint. So in this diagram here, V1 and V2 are two vertices and the edges joining the two vertices are E1, E2 and E3. So that is called the multi-edge. Then simple graph, a graph that does not contain any self loop or multi-edge is called a simple graph. Then the multigraph, a graph that does not contain any self loop but contain multi-edge, so it is called the multigraph. In this example also, here there are four vertices V1, V2, V3 and V4. So in this graph there is no self loop but it consists of multi-edge, so this is called the multigraph. Then the pseudograph, a graph that contains both self loop and multi-edge is called the pseudograph. So in this example, the graph shows that there is a self loop and also a multi-edge. So that is why it is called a pseudograph. Then the incidence and adjacency. So in this case, first we will talk about the incidence. Incidence means if there is an edge that joins two vertices V1 and V2, then that edge is called the incident on the two vertices Vi and Vj. And adjacent means two vertices. If two vertices are said to be adjacent, if there exists an edge that is joining the vertices, so that is called the adjacency vertices. And the degree of vertex. Degree of vertex defines the number of edges incident on that vertex is called the degree of vertex. So here in this case, the V1 shows that two edges are connecting with vertex V1. So the degree of vertex V1 is 2, and similarly for V2, here there is a self loop also. So self loop is considered as two edge in this for this vertex and two edges are also connecting. So the order of degree of this vertex is 4. In this way, we can determine the degree of all the vertices. Then the isolated vertex and a pendant vertex. A vertex having 0 degree is called the isolated vertex and a vertex having only 1 degree is called the pendant vertex. So in this case here, this is the case in which this is the graph in which this vertex has only 1 degree. So it is called the pendant vertex. Then the finite and infinite graph. A graph with a finite number of vertices is called a finite graph, and uh, a graph that contain infinite number of vertices and edges is called the infinite graph. Then this is example here. Which of the following is true for the given graph? In this case, the degree of P6 is 3, degree of P1 is 2, degree of P6 is 2, and degree of P2 equal to 1. So in this case, we know that the degree of P6 is 3. So this is the right option. And for the degree of 6, as we know in this case that degree of 3 is 6, so this is the wrong choice. Then third one is degree of P1 is 2, so degree of P1 is 2, so this is also the right choice. And degree of P2 equal to 1, but in this case the degree is 0, so this is the wrong choice. Then the number of isolated vertex in the following graph. In this case, we know that V8 is not, vertex V8 is not connecting to any other vertices. So this is called the isolated vertex. So the isolated vertex in this case is 1. Then which of the following is a pseudograph? In this case, as we know that the pseudograph contain both self-loop and a multi-edge. So in this case, A has both self-loop and a multi-edge. So this is called the pseudograph, and all other options are incorrect. Then what is complete graph? A simple connected graph is called complete if each vertex is connected to every other vertex. So this is called the complete graph. Here are some of the example. And second one is the regular graph. Our graph G is said to be regular if every vertex has same degree. So in this case, this is the diagram. In this case, each vertex have only have 2 degrees. So this is called the regular graph. Thank you.
Yeah.